Hey everybody, welcome to the Middle Circle channel. And firstly, let me introduce myself. I'm Ivan, and I'm a huge football fan, and I've been obsessed with the game since the early 2000s. I personally consider this period as a golden football era. We had superstars like Zinedine Zidane, Ronaldo Nazário, Luís Figo, David Beckham, Andriy Shevchenko, Thierry Henry, and so many others lighting up the pitch. Plus, it was when Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo were just starting out. Today, we are starting a series of videos about some of the biggest transfers from that time that were supposed to happen but never did. These moves could have totally changed football as we know it. So, we've got two wild scenarios, two crazy stories that would have flipped our favorite game upside down. You're in the middle circle. Let's kick it off. David Beckham to Barcelona. Back in February 2003, that legendary boot throw incident happened.
An incident which was a freakish. If I tried it 100 times or 1,000,000 times, it could not happen again. If I did it, I carried on playing.
Arsenal kicked Manchester United out of the FA Cup with a 2-0 win. Yeah, Sir Alex Ferguson was really done with David Beckham and his flash of life with Victoria, and it all blew up. It was pretty clear that Beckham's time at Old Trafford was coming to an end. Joan Laporta, who was running for president of Barcelona, saw this as his chance.
David Beckham for us is very important, and I hope to convince, if I'm president, I hope to convince the representatives of David and him in order to come to a great club as Football Club Barcelona, a great city as Barcelona, and a great country as Catalonia.
Super energetic, 41-year-old Laporta managed to work out a deal with the Red Devils for £25 million. Only Beckham's agreement was left to secure. But here's where things got tricky. The Guardian reported that Beckham was really upset about everything going on behind his back. The Manchester United CEO at the time, Peter Kenyon, advised the 28-year-old Englishman to leave the club quietly, but Spice Boy, as Beckham was then called, had a different opinion. He felt like he was being used in Laporta's political games. Laporta didn't even contact him and just used his name to win the elections. Plus, Beckham didn't want to join the struggling Barcelona that had only won La Liga 3 times in the last decade, while Manchester was dominating the Premier League, capturing 7 titles in the last 10 seasons. In the end, after Beckham turned them down, United had to look at Real Madrid and Milan, which Beckham thought were more appealing options. Madrid was more tempting thanks to Florentino Perez, and they ended up paying £31.5 million to the Devils. David himself later recalled this episode in his career as follows. I had heard rumors I might be sold. I was on holiday in the States with Victoria, and one of my friends called and told me it was on Sky Sports that United had agreed terms with Barcelona. I told him, that's not right. I don't know anything about it. I then flew back to London. I tried to speak to Peter Kenyon as well as the manager, but they said no. I told them I need to understand what was going on, and they admitted a deal had been agreed with Barcelona. That's when I spoke to my agent and said, if I'm going to move, I'm going to move to Madrid. Within a day, I sat with the president of Real Madrid, Florentino Perez, and we agreed a deal. On the other hand, the Barcelona president, Joan Laporta, gave his version of events. One day in a press conference, a journalist asked me about the Beckham deal, so I confirmed it. It was a mistake because this happened before we spoke with the agent. I went with Sandro Rosell to Nice, where we talked with Beckham's agents. At that time, they said that Real Madrid also wanted him, but we thought they said it to increase that price. Oh, how wrong he was! As it turned out, Beckham's agent was not bluffing. He told the truth. Becks decided to make the move even though Luís Figo mainly played in his position. And there was also Zidane in the club, who was mostly sent to the left flank of midfield. So, David was heading to Real Madrid as a central or defensive midfielder. Plus, The Englishman couldn't count on wearing the number 7 in the Royal Club, since that number was taken by the captain and legend of the Merengues, Raúl González. Still, the Galactic player joined the first version of the Galacticos that Florentino Perez was assembling at the Santiago Bernabéu. At that time, the Blancos already had Figo, Zidane, Ronaldo Nazário, Roberto Carlos, and Raúl in the squad. Everything after that is history. But come on, wouldn't you want to see Beckham play for Barcelona? Maybe that transfer would have worked out better for him than moving to Real Madrid, where he wasn't as influential as he was at Manchester United. So, what do you think? Interesting. Then I'd ask each of you to drop a like. That's how I'll know it's time to get to part 2. And there is even more exciting stuff. Cristiano Ronaldo to Barcelona, Lionel Messi to Juventus, Steven Gerrard to Chelsea, and one hidden bonus. Maybe even 2. Let's get back to the story number 2. Ronaldinho to Manchester United. If Beckham had picked Barcelona like Manchester hoped, football history would have changed dramatically. That summer of 2003, there was another transfer saga that went down as one of the biggest what-ifs in football history. United's plan was to get rid of the controversial Beckham, who Ferguson thought was ruining the team's atmosphere, and to sign a football wizard who was lighting up at Paris Saint-Germain. That was 23-year-old Ronaldinho, whose name reached crazy heights after the triumphant 2002 World Cup with Brazil. Manchester pulled out all the stops. Sir Alex Ferguson personally worked on the transfer, reaching out to Ronaldinho to rave about his talent and where he saw him in the team. The transfer was in the final stages, but in the end, United backed out because of his entourage. Here's what Peter Kenyon shared in a recent interview.
Normally, in these cases, you're dealing with the player and his agent. Here, we're dealing with the player and his several agents and about 20 other people in the room. Yes, he's a great player. Yes, he could play. But suddenly, we're into a whole different thing, you know.
This started to become a bigger issue than the money. We sort of got an agreement with the club, got an agreement with the player, but we came back and said on balance, I don't think this is going to work. What happened next, you already know. Ronaldinho became a top star at Barcelona, considered the brightest player in the world for at least 3 to 4 seasons. Laporta was thrilled to sign the wizard after the Beckham transfer fell through. Barca bought Ronnie for 25 million euros, with another 5 million going to PSG once certain bonus points in the contract were met. It's worth noting that Man United was offering a bit over 22 million pounds, while Barca eventually settled on 25 million pounds. Interestingly, there is info that Laporta campaigned during the election for a big star transfer. It was supposed to be either Beckham, Henry, or Ronaldinho. So he didn't lie to the Barcelona fans. Laporta was helped by Sandro Rosell, who would later take over from Joan in that position. Ronaldinho himself shared the following about the turnaround in his transfer saga. It almost happened with United. It was a matter of 48 hours, but Rosell had told me way before I got the offer, if I become Barca president, will you come? I said yes. It was only a matter of details with United when Rosell called to say he was going to win the elections there, and I had promised to him that I'd play for Barca. Former Manchester United chief executive David Gale also confirmed that Barcelona alone was to blame for the deal's failure. Here is what he said in 2024. I just felt if Barcelona hadn't have been there, would have got him. But if Barcelona were there, they were clearly his first choice. A Brazilian going to Barcelona. With all due respect, notwithstanding the success of Manchester United, they were his first choice. If they hadn't had come up with the goods, we'd had all the deal done. The numbers were done. I don't think it was anything we'd done wrong. It was just that Barcelona had come in. We were close, but no cigar. Laporta, on the other hand, was simply glad that Real Madrid had once given up on Ronaldinho for a truly unique reason. Luckily for us, Ronaldinho was too ugly for Real Madrid, so when we wanted to sign him, Madrid didn't try to stop us. But at the same time, the failure of Ronaldinho's transfer to Manchester United led to another legendary transfer, which we will talk about in the next episode. Friends, subscribe to the Middle Circle channel and be sure to smash that like button. The more likes, the faster I will make the second part. And there are more fascinating stories to come that you might not know. My name is Ivan, you were on the Middle Circle. See you in a bit.